So according to Omar Barada and the other members of the United backroom staff, the objective seems to be to win the title in 2028, which would give Amorim the rest of the season and then another 2 seasons to get his side into a position where they can not just challenge for, but actually win the Premier League. And so this means that we need to at least be challenging until about March or April by the 26-27 season. So if I was appointed director of football, how would I go about building this United squad over the next 2 to 3 summer windows? Well, in this series I'm going to be showing you my dream team that I would look to build for Amorim by the start of the 27-28 season, and then work backwards, because that just makes a lot more sense than just aimlessly starting from this summer. So in this specific video I'm going to be starting off with the back 3, and then in separate episodes I'll come on to the goalkeeper, midfield and the forward line. So with Amorim's current options in the back 3, I think long term it would be Euro as a central centre back, with De Ligt and Kokonki either side, obviously because of Martinez's injury, with Mazraoui and Dalot options to play at right-sided centre-back as well. But at the moment, obviously both Euro and Kokonki aren't anywhere nearly elite level, but considering their ages and their skill sets, I think in 2.5 seasons time, we could have a high level, maybe not elite level by that time, sweeper in Euro, playing at the centre of the back 3, and a physically and athletically dominant wide centre-back with elite level potential in Kokonki, and even De Ligt as well, even though I don't think he's perfect for the back 3 either as Amorim's central centre-back or as a right-sided centre-back just from a stylistic point of view, he's still very good, and if you were upgrading upon him, it would have to be for a truly elite level right-sided centre-back, who would probably also have to have improved ball playing ability. Now Lisandro Martinez currently has a contract at United until 2027 with the option of a further year, but considering he will be 28 by the start of 2026, his injury keeping him out for pretty much most of that time, with him probably not coming back until October or November, and the fact that United need to sell to reinvest, I think either in the summer of 2026 or 2027, Martinez has to get moved on. But the key is not just bringing in a replacement for Martinez, but also an upgrade. And I think it has to be someone who's an improvement on Martinez defensively when it comes to his instincts inside of the box, but also someone who's more aerially, physically and athletically dominant to allow Amorim to leave them high up the pitch in those 1v1s in the channels. And for me the perfect option, and probably the best left-sided centre-back in the world at the moment, someone I've talked about in many different videos, particularly throughout the summer, would be Alessandro Bastoni. Shota Beck would also be another good option as well. He would be my second choice if Bastoni wasn't available in the next 2 years, or maybe even someone like Mickey van der Ven if he was to become available from now till 2027, with his pace in particular being something that could significantly improve United's ability to press high by leaving fewer players back. But Inter Milan's Bastoni would be my main target. I mean, he's not going to be attainable in the summer because of where Inter and United are, alongside United not being able to raise funds by selling Martinez this summer, but either in the summer of 2026 or 2027, Bastoni would be top of my left-sided centre-back shortlist. And for me, this would work out perfectly with Kokonki, as by the start of the 27-28 season, Kokonki will still only be 19, whilst Bastoni would have just turned 28 a few months earlier, and also coming into his prime years as a centre-back. But he's also still young enough to be able to play for the next 5 or 6 seasons at the elite level, where from during that period Kokonki could be seamlessly integrated into that role in the back 3, with both players also being able to play in a centre-back pairing in a back 4, or even at left-back in a back 4 as well. See, from a stylistic point of view, Kokonki and Bastoni are absolutely perfect for a wide centre-back role. But before I break down exactly why, a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon where for $1.50 a month you can read all my articles. I've got articles on Luis Campos at Monaco, Beppe Marotta at Sampdoria, also one on Leonardo da Vinci and how football clubs could use his creative thinking ideas in order to evolve their clubs and just make improvements overall. You can also sign up to my in-game Instagram group chat, where you will get in-game analysis during all the Manchester United games and discussions on different topics throughout the week. You'll also get my ebook when it does come out completely for free, and you can also request custom articles that you want me to write as well. So if you do want to sign up and help support the channel, I'll leave my Patreon linked in all the usual places, the eye above, description, comment section and on the end screen after the video. So the reason Kokonki and Bastoni are both perfect for that wide centre-back role in Amorim's system, and generally just in the modern game, is because they tick all the boxes that you would want, aerially, physically, athletically, defensively, and in terms of their technical and ball carrying ability in possession as well, being hybrids between centre backs and full backs with the physicality and aerial ability of a traditional centre back. And hopefully playing as an understudy, Kokongi can develop Bastoni's ball carrying, forward running and deep crossing ability, because I think this is exactly what Amorim is currently lacking from his wide centre backs. Now in future videos I'll come on to the importance of having wide centre backs who have pace, physicality and aerial ability in more detail, and how this could improve Amorim's system both in and out of possession. But considering Martinez is injured for pretty much the whole season and the whole summer, Bastoni costing in excess of £60 million, which is probably implausible anyway because I don't think we could convince him to come at this point in time, and Schottler, the understudy, probably being valued at around £45 million as well. What other options are there if United wanted to go into the market to get a left-sided centre-back this summer, with Kokongi playing as the understudy until Alexsandro Martinez returns next season? Well, Alexsandro Ribeiro at Lille is someone who has impressed me. The 25-year-old Brazilian, who will be 26 in August, has been at Lille for a few seasons now, having signed from Chaves in Portugal back in 2022 for only around £1.5 million. But as tends to happen with centre-backs, Ribeiro has developed significantly from his early to his mid-20s, and he's really impressed me this season. Stylistically, from a defensive point of view, he's a mix between Gabriel at Arsenal and Bremer at Juventus, just with superior ball-playing ability in my opinion. And you can see this with his progressing passing numbers being very, very good, ranking in the top 80th percentiles for his passes into the final third and his progressive passes overall, whilst also being a pretty efficient carrier of the ball alongside that. But defensively he's rapid, strong, decisive and aggressive with his tackling and intercepting, exactly the style of defender that you want to be pushing out the back line, following players who are moving into the half space or defending in the channels in 1v1s, and he's also a monster in the air as well, ranking in the top 1% for the percentage of aerial duels he has won with 75%, and this is over the last 365 days when compared against every other centre-back in Europe's top 5 leagues, where he's played just under 3,000 minutes. So this certainly isn't a small sample base or a quality skewed FB ref report. Considering his contract at Lille runs until 2028 and he was only signed for around £1.5 million back in 2022, I think United should definitely consider signing him this summer for maybe between 15 to about £22 million if that is possible at that price, because I think he could be an elite level left-sided centre-back in a back three. And even if he isn't as good as Martinez, and Martinez comes back and retains his fitness for the second half of next season, we could then move Ribeiro on, hopefully profiting between £10 to £20 million. Which if we then moved on Martinez as well, would definitely raise enough money to then go out and get Bastoni. So signing Ribeiro in the summer for a minimal fee does actually make logical sense when you think of Bastoni as the end goal. But what about the right-sided centre-back? Well, Ronald Araujo would be my dream target for the 27-28 season, but that transfer will probably have to wait at least a year or two. If he ever becomes attainable for United, as Araujo has only recently extended his Barcelona contract, but someone like Araujo, alongside Euro with Bastoni on the other side, would be absolutely incredible, as both Araujo and Bastoni are more than capable of pushing up onto players, dropping into the half space, being physically dominant and stopping them turning, whilst also being excellent running back towards their own goal as well, with Araujo specialising in those 1v1 duels in the channels. Add on to this both players' passing and ball carrying ability, alongside their height and physical presence, making them players who could develop into aerial monsters, then I think you have the perfect setup for Euro to play the sweeper role, where rather than getting drawn high up the pitch, turning quickly and having to run back towards his own goal, playing centrally will allow Euro to sit behind the play with the game in front of him, allowing him to shift over when needed and using his pace to sweep up in behind. Now of course Euro will have to improve significantly in possession, particularly when pushing higher up towards the edge of the box in the build-up phase, as at the moment you certainly wouldn't say he's comfortable when receiving the ball under pressure with his back to goal, although given his age and his current ball playing ability this is definitely something that he could develop. However, ideally by 27-28, United will have built a squad that gives Amorim a lot of variety, with one option being a defensive-minded midfielder who could also play centrally in the back three. Now I do have someone in mind who I think by 2027 could be attainable and would be perfect to play that more evolved libero role in the centre of the back three, but I'll come on to that in a separate video, specifically analysing the tactical role of a libero. So if you are interested, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you do get notified when that video comes out. But if it's not Orejo, I do think De Ligt could potentially develop into an elite level right-sided centre-back, but he would have to improve his incisive passing and his overall ball carrying ability. Nevertheless, by 26 or 27, even if De Ligt has impressed, United may be better off moving him on. Certainly if we could make some profit on him, and go in for someone who's a better stylistic fit, but also someone who's at that elite level. Orejo, if he stays fit, I think will be the best right-sided centre-back in the world, and so usually you'd assume that he'd spend the rest of his career, or at least a significant proportion of it, at Barcelona, but given their financial situation, they are likely going to have to sell high-value assets over the next few summer transfer windows. So if Orejo was to become available for around £60 to £70 million, it would definitely be a deal that I look to do. If it wasn't Orejo, however, Ilya Zabani at Bournemouth or Jan Bisek at Inter Milan are two players who would be top of my shortlist. Probably not this summer unless players like Mazraoui or Dalla were sold, but come 2026 or 2027, I think these two players could be excellent wide centre-back options. Now out of the two, I'd probably go with Zabani, but that may change over the next year and a half or so. But for me, whenever I watch the 22-year-old Ukrainian for Bournemouth, he just oozes composure and confidence in defensive situations, having the physical strength and speed to glide across the pitch and make interceptions or tackles, and I think given 4 or 5 years, and he develops into a similar style of centre-back to Virgil van Dijk, simply because his composure and ease at how he's able to use his speed and physicality is so impressive. So whilst Orejo would be the dream, I'd probably have to go with a more realistic option like Zabani, just because we should definitely be able to get him out of Bournemouth, probably not this summer, but surely by the summer of 2026, where from either that summer or surely by the summer of 2027, we can move on De Ligt to Martinez and raise funds for reinvestment, which would be smart business to then upgrade with Zabani and Bastoni. And so by 27-28, we'd have a central centre-back of Euro in that sweeper role, who would be 21-22, Zabani to his right at 25 years old, and Bastoni to his left at 28, creating an incredible back three, where all three centre-backs have the pace to play in a very high defensive line. Zabani and Bastoni are both excellent defenders overall, particularly when it comes to dealing with 1v1s in the channel, with Zabani also being very composed and astute in pressurised situations when receiving the ball in the build-up phase and having to find a forward or incisive pass. Whilst Bastoni alongside Kokonki as his understudy could be a real attacking threat if given the licence to push further forward in possession down the left side, and all three of our centre-backs have the height and the physicality once Euro develops that part of his game to give us three of the most complete centre-backs in the league. Even if we were to keep De Ligt instead of Zabani, a back three of Bastoni, Euro and De Ligt is still immense, but the real reason I prefer Zabani to De Ligt is ball playing ability, as I just think the Ukrainian has a composure and incisive passing ability that De Ligt doesn't quite have. Maybe he can develop it, in which case he would have a very good shout to be in this 11 come 27-28, but if I had to say now, I think Zabani and Bastoni by 2027 are two of the best wide centre-backs in world football. So let me know what you think of my suggestions in the comment section, and if you do want to sign up to my Patreon to get access to my articles or the in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave it linked on the end screen now.